Fourth, diligence is an act of love. So I think a lot of times when we feel like, man, I got to fix this procrastination issue, I need to stop this, we're kind of only thinking about ourselves. And it is true, being a serial procrastinator does a lot of harm to you. Keeps you from doing the things you ought to be doing, keeps you being faithful in the things God's given you to do, absolutely. But sometimes what we forget is that when we procrastinate, very often we are doing a disservice to others as well. Mark 12:30 and 31 says, "And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength." And the second is this, "You shall love your neighbor as yourself. There's no other commandment greater than these." Right? This is Jesus talking about the first and second greatest commandments, right? And why do I bring this up here in the context of procrastination? Jesus is talking about the completeness of the love that we should have for God. Like every part of us as a person, our heart, soul, mind, and strength. And that strength component always strikes me, because Colossians 3:23 talks about working as unto the Lord, doing the tasks we're given as an act of worship to Him. You love the Lord by obeying Him, by praising Him, but also by fulfilling your duties, your responsibilities, and not putting them off. And even if that duty, that thing you're supposed to be doing is small and really affects nobody else except for you, it still is something that you should be doing as an act of worship to God. And so it matters. And so one way to think about this is when I'm tempted to procrastinate, I can remember, no, I'm going to do the thing I'm supposed to do. I'm going to do it as an act of worship and an act of love to God. The other side of this is the love your neighbor part. Diligence can be an act of love to your neighbor. Likewise, procrastination often harms your neighbor. That might be directly, or it might be just by omission because you don't do some good that you could do to them. A couple simple examples. If I am perpetually late to meetings or to meet up with people, I am putting people out. They're sitting there waiting awkwardly in the coffee shop. They're not sure exactly, they can't start the meeting because I'm late all the time. If I don't finish my portion of the project, I'm leaving the others hanging. When my wife asks me for the 1,000th time to do that thing that I keep finding reasons not to do, I am not loving as I ought to love. My procrastination is getting in the way of me loving my neighbor. Another passage that really woke me up to this was Proverbs 18:9. It says, "Whoever is slack in his work is a brother to him who destroys." You say, well, what does that mean? It's saying, okay, we know that someone who goes around destroying stuff is not good. They're not loving. They're not helping anybody because they're destroying stuff. And he's saying, you're basically siblings with them if you procrastinate, if you are slack in the work you're supposed to be doing. You're not building up and you're not maintaining things. And so you're just a few inches from being a destroyer because you are neglecting doing the thing. You might as well be tearing it down. One of the best ways you can show love to God and to your neighbor is by treating diligence as a sacrificial act of love for God and neighbor. You're saying, I'm going to do the thing even though I don't want to, because I love the Lord, I want to do it as an act of worship, and I love my neighbor, I don't want to be a brother to the one who destroys. Diligence is an act of love.